Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing part 1 of The Underwater Menace. I am watching the new Blu-ray animation release. I'm watching the black and white version of episode 1, which of course is animated because episodes 1 and 4 are missing. Now, I've never seen The Underwater Menace. It is one of the 7 classic Doctor Who stories I've never seen. All of those are from the 60s, and this is my first time watching through it. I know a little bit about it. Of course, I know it's about Atlantis. I know Zaroff is the bad guy in it. He's kind of nuts and he's kind of a cheesy character, I know. And I know the story is not exactly the best regarded, let us say. I'll talk about the animation first, and then I'll talk about the story. I really like the animation. For the most part, it has a couple little things, we'll talk about it, but I like most of the character models. The Patrick Troughton one for the second Doctor looks a lot like the one from Evil, and I believe the one for Jamie looks like the one from Evil, so I like that kind of consistency, that continuity there of, you know, them going, oh, I've seen them look like that before, because a lot of times their appearance changes in the animation, so I kind of like that. I think the animation model for Ben looks really good. The only one I have trouble with is Polly. Polly looks weird. Polly does not look like Polly. I think the faceless ones got Polly a lot better. Polly just looks weird. She looks like she had some kind of plastic surgery that didn't work, like it got botched or something. It just looks weird, especially the mouth when she's talking. It just looks weird. The guest cast look fine. Zaroff, to me, doesn't match his live action counterpart exactly. Something about the hair is off. I mean, it's obviously Zaroff. It is. Don't get me wrong. I can tell it's Zaroff. But something about the hair doesn't quite look right. From the pictures I've seen and the clips I've seen from the surviving episodes. The scenery looks good. I don't know how much has been changed because I've never seen the surviving episodes. I will be watching the surviving episodes with this. I'll be watching this with animated episodes in black and white 1 through 4, surviving episodes 2 and 3. Even though I know they're a little different, it'll be a little jarring. But if half the story exists, I'm going to watch the surviving episodes because it seems silly to do it any other way, unless I just wanted to watch the color version for continuity all the way through, which I may do later. But I really like the animation. The motion of the characters has a fluidity to it that I haven't seen since the Macrotera. That's really impressive. A lot of times when they're turning, when they're moving their hands, when they're most of the time when they're walking, we'll get to that. Just the stuff they're doing with their body language and their heads and their facial expressions feels very natural, much more natural than most of the animations. The way people move, I believe that hasn't been this good since Macrotera. So this is probably the second best of the modern animations from Power on with how characters are moving around. It's actually really impressive. I liked that. Again, I love the way the characters look. I like the way the guest cast look. I like the way the fish people look. I know the fish people don't look the way they're supposed to in the surviving episodes, but I still think the design works. There is that bit when they're walking down hallways sometimes and their arms are kind of swaying like this, which kind of looks Scooby-Doo-ish when they're just waving. There's even a part where the Doctor walks into the room with the food and his arms are kind of doing this. So there's this little lazy swaying every now and then. It's a little off-putting. I don't quite get that. But other than that, the animation is really good. And it doesn't have those thick black lines like Fury did. They looks much better. Now, the camera does this weird pan every now and then. And again, I'm watching the black and white version, which is in 4:3. And I don't know if it's having to pan like that every now and then to get everything in the shot. But the camera, when it's tracking, which is a very odd thing for classic Who to do, when it's kind of moving sometimes, it's weird. It's almost nauseating, but not quite. It's almost like I get a sense of nausea, just slightly. Like, not bad, but just that kind of, I don't know how to phrase it, like hairs on the back of your neck standing up or your stomach getting a little queasy. It's something that's a little off when it does it several times, not just once, like not like a whole bunch of times, but there's a few times where it does it, multiple times, where it makes me feel a little, it was a minor thing, but I wanted to mention it. So I was actually really pleased with the animation in black and white, although I wish it was less gray and more black and white. Like, I wish some of the gray was lighter and some of the gray was darker. Like, instead of being, I wish it was more of a contrast between the black and the white, where instead of everything kind of being a middle grayscale. Sometimes it was bothersome, sometimes it wasn't. But still, overall, I was very pleased with the animation. I felt like it was a huge improvement, technically, from a technical standpoint. From most of them, I really think the only one really doing better is Macroterra. Actually, I felt like it was even an improvement over Evil, where sometimes I didn't feel like I was watching a person moving. I felt like I was watching someone be puppeteered. Evil was really good, but every now and then that would happen, whereas this one I didn't really have that problem. It felt more like Macro, where I felt like I was watching a person moving around. I really liked Troughton's facial expressions at the beginning when he's laughing and smiling and stuff. That was also really neat. Some of the stuff Troughton does with his face in the animation is really good. Story-wise, I'm enjoying it, actually. You know, going in, again, I know this isn't exactly essential Doctor Who. I know it's not a classic. I know it doesn't have the best reputation. So, you know, my bar for this one isn't set up here to begin with. So, you know, it's kind of more down here. So that kind of helps. But I enjoyed the story. They seem to be having some laughs at the beginning. Like when they're in the TARDIS room, they're kind of having some little jokes and laughs and poking fun at each other. I like seeing the TARDIS family being able to pick at each other. The Doctor's like, wait, for me. And then he follows them out. That's pretty funny. I'm trying to think of a couple other instances. I really can't. But there was some of the little banter and joking around there I found hilarious. I love when the Doctor meets Zaroff or whatever his name is. And they start joking, like, tell me the secret. I don't have a secret. You what? And then they it's almost like they're bonding, like they're joking. It's like, you have a wit. That's all right. I also have a wit. Or, you're a very humorous fellow. I'm also a very humorous fellow. Whatever it is he says. I found that. It's almost like Zaroff is making me think of, like, he's like an evil version of the second Doctor almost. Like, they kind of have similar personalities in a way. Except for Zaroff's evil. But, like, their sense of humor is, like, just going from, again, I haven't seen the whole story, but just going by this. I loved that little scene where they were joking together. And, like, the Doctor's life is at stake. His friend's life is at stake. And they're joking. And the fact that I think he impressed Zaroff, because I think Zaroff can pick up on the Doctor's an intelligent fellow, but just the fact that he's willing to laugh and make jokes about stuff like that seemed to impress him. I enjoyed that conversation when they were talking a lot. And the fact the Doctor realized that it was Zaroff who did it just by the plankton, send this message. I like that as well. Apparently Zaroff is a well-known person. We get a little backstory, like he faked his death 20 years ago or something, and they're laughing about that. The cliffhanger was really good with Polly, with her being turned into a, you know, them threatening to turn her into one of the fish people. That little cliffhanger, which I've seen the surviving footage of that and just little clips of her being strapped down with the needle and that look on Polly's face of, you know, I've seen that clip, but it looked really good in animated form. I really actually enjoyed this episode. I thought it was fun and interesting. I think The Underwater Menace might be one of those stories, just going off the first episode, that if you don't take it too seriously and you just have fun with it, it can be a nice watch. You know, kind of like Horns of Nimon. I love Horns of Nimon. If you know going in that it's not essential Who, it's not well regarded, it's a little camp, you can just enjoy it for what it is. And that's kind of what I'm doing thus far. So I'm enjoying the animation. I enjoyed the animation for part 1, and I enjoyed the story aspects of part 1. And the Doctor realizing they're on Atlantis, that's pretty cool. And then I'll be watching the surviving episodes 2 and 3, and then the animation in black and white for part 4. So, part 1 of The Underwater Menace. What do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference. I also have YouTube memberships available. My P.O. box is down in the description if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. And links to my Amazon wish list are down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.